Hey, everybody, welcome to the Open Network User Group podcast. I'm Mark Tierney, ONUG CTO, and today on the podcast, ONUG Spring 2023. It's like Nick says, the cake is baked, the table is set, and we're ready for our just desserts. But before we go there, listen up. ONUG Spring 2023 is this a hybrid event. It's May 17th and 18th at Union Station, my hometown. I can't wait. Join the ONUG community of Global 2000 companies, tech execs, enterprise architects, infrastructure engineers, cloud providers, and thought leaders as we discuss and demonstrate the tenets of enterprise cloud, networking, security, policy. The list goes on. Go to onug.net to register for this event today. Use the promo code ONUG Podcast, and we'll give you a 20% discount on your ticket. All right. So joining me today for the podcast is the co-founder, the chair, the CEO, the boss, Nick Lippis. Hey, Nick, how you doing, boss?
There's a lot of people behind me. It's not I feel like I have all those chairs.
Me, I like pomp and circumstance. So
yeah. Well, that's a great intro. Actually, a really great intro. Actually, the one key thing that I'm looking forward to for being at Union Station, it's owned by Wolfgang Puck. So the food better be friggin' good.
Right?
Really, it should be really good food. I'm really psyched about that.
I do like the venue. I am a Dallas kid, grew up here, and the downtown scene has changed a lot. It's very squared away around Union Station, and how it all just blends in. Beautiful park next door to the facility, cool tunnel walkway to the Hyatt Regency and Reunion Tower. It's going to be a really neat venue overall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. It's like I am a product of growing up like in the 70s and the 80s. And so when I think of Dallas, I think of that TV show, Dallas.
We all wear cowboy hats, take horses to work. It just is what it is, right? So, Dallas, listen, we're very cosmopolitan. You have no idea.
It's a great city. I love Dallas. I'm super stoked, for being in Dallas. So,
all right, what I'm stoked about is the overall lineup. But why don't we start with kind of where this thing does start, and that's with the leadership, the hosting. So we've got a special host. Why don't you tell us a little bit about our host for this conference?
Yeah, Chris Mariotti, Chris from Cigna. So Cigna is the host of this ONUG, and Chris is just phenomenal. He is wicked smart, amazingly influential. He has this massively large organization that he kind of runs infrastructure for Cigna. He's been an ONUG board member for probably at least 5 years or so now, and he just really has so much weight, on kind of what we do, the companies that we invite to participate, as well for this ONUG also. So Chris has really been really engaged, and can't thank him enough for all the work that not only he does, but also just people on his team. So he's a really great community leader within ONUG. So really, so
what I've noticed. What I've noticed about him is, he connects the dots, sort of inside and outside, and it's just been a force, right, in the ONUG community. So it's that's super. All right. So joining you in the co-chair role for this ONUG Spring, you've got some fun people there as well. Tell us about Alex. Alex is kind of a little bit new to our family, and particularly in this role. Tell us about Alex from E&Y.
Yeah, Alex, she is frighteningly smart, really understands the cybersecurity space. She ran cloud security engineering at Citigroup, and now she's managing director over at Ernst & Young. So she has a large practice, there. And so she's going to share the keynote with me. So I'm going to present kind of the networking side. She's going to present the security side around how the changing roles are now evolving for those particular groups within IT. And Alex has been such a pleasure to work with. She really kind of came into her own really this year. She got really involved in ONUG. And so at first she was just working with James Wickett on the DevSecOps track. But then she just got, really involved in everything else that we were doing. She was participating in the content meetings, and then brought in so many really great people. So there's so many different points of view that are going to be coming out of this ONU, more than I think we've had before. So, and that's really because of Alex. So Alex, we elevated Alex. We wanted to celebrate, her contribution, and give her the title of the co-chair. So it's Alex and myself are co-chairing, and which really is apropos, because she really understands the security space. I really understand the networking space, and these two spaces are converging. So and I think that will permeate, throughout the 2 days.
Yeah, and it's kind of permeating the cyberspace. So I've seen a lot on social media, a lot on LinkedIn about just that topic. All right, so just to be clear, that was Alexander Shulman-Peleg that we're referring to, and as Nick pointed out, she's a cybersecurity leader and managing director at EY. All right, so now I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I think we're our third ONUG into this DevSecOps track, and you mentioned James. So what can you share about what's happening there with James?
Yeah, no, James has been phenomenal. He's been helping us with the DevSecOps track, for literally, this is our third ONU. And it's so important to you might just think, oh, okay, well, what is DevSecOps doing at ONU? And the bottom line is that it represents, again, that kind of intersection and integration between networking and security, especially around workflows. So that's really, really important to the community. And so James has been spearheading that. He's also been engaged in all of the content meetings. He's just been phenomenal, just in terms of the content and the sessions and the speakers that he's been bringing in as well. So really pleased to have James. Honored really to have him, and the perspective that he brings to the community as well.
Nice. Okay, so you've already brought it up. You've teased it a little bit, but this evolving role of network and security, it's permeating so many discussions, certainly in the ONUG community and with our suppliers and our consuming members, enterprise consuming members. Tell us a little bit about, your perspective of how this discussion gets focused on it at ONUG. We're going to have a bit of content around this.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of content really on this. And again, it comes, really from kind of the top down, with working with Alex, during the course of the last 6 months. But I think it really comes from, kind of taking 2 steps back. We've always been focusing around how do you operationalize your enterprise cloud infrastructure. And so we know that also towards the end of last year, we knew that this year, 2023, was going to be the year to optimize and assess kind of your cloud spend and your cloud journey with public cloud providers. And I think as we've been working on that, 2 things have become really clear. One is that there are some companies that have actually groups that are just focusing on cost control, because getting bills that are just outrageously high and unexpected is so uncool. And you just can't basically run a business, that way. So anyway, there is a lot of cost containment, cost reduction, that's going on. And you're seeing that within the cloud providers, their growth rates are down by 50%, for the year. Obviously, they're still making money, a lot of money, but the growth rates are down. So there is cost containment, the strategies, exercises, that are going on. And then the other thing that's happening is organizationally. So organizationally, we know that in order to manage something, you have to actually have metrics around it, right? And you have to have people responsible for it. And that's the security and networking teams that are now taking on that responsibility. So that's really important. We're going to be talking about those different roles. We have a lot of insight, into that. And the other key thing is that it's not just the vendor community that is now integrating networking and security, and that's been around for a while, but it's getting the linkage getting much deeper. But the other thing that's happening too is on the operational side. So going back into like, kind of assessing and trying to kind of reduce costs, the integration of NOx and SOx is something that is just starting to happen. We've seen it. I've actually started to see it happening in the pharmaceutical industry. I can't name names like right now, but I know there are three large farmers that have started down that role, and they're putting that underneath the CISO, which is a little surprising to me, But I think, so going back to the main theme here is optimizing is both a cost containment, cost reduction strategy, and business value extraction, and also operationally, organizationally, I mean, and that is networking and security teams are becoming the heroes, and then we're starting to integrate kind of operations, which is a huge, kind of a potential expense reduction. So,
Nick, I know we shouldn't care about how we got here, but it makes me chuckle sometimes to think about when we were pushing cloud, right? We're building cloud, we're pushing cloud, we're like, hey kids, we could turn the lights on, we could turn them off. When we're not using stuff, we just turn the switch off. It's all good. And instead now we've got like dad running around saying, close the refrigerator door, don't leave the front door open. Like we got AC like blowing out of the house like crazy. Like what happened? How did it get so bad? I'd love a session on that to see, how things just went wild. I'm an infrastructure guy, so I'm blaming the developers. But that's just how I roll. So.
Well, it's like I think there's a lot of finger pointing, kind of going on, right now. But I think the bottom line is that you can't look at everybody was kind of going down a road, and now okay, hey, we're assessing that road, and no one should feel bad about making particular decisions, unless they were a friggin' disaster, of course, But but you have to kind of like learn and adjust,
Well, I think I obviously I'm joking, but I think you made the point, right? Metrics, data, right? It's great to say you can turn the light switch off, but hey, if you don't have the right tools in place to make sure that you really are managing those processes, and they weren't, right? Then things got out of hand, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
We
and also
just haven't had the supporting data, in my opinion.
yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Mark. But the only thing too is that I kind of like look at some of the practices both with the CSPs and also with kind of like the Accentuses of the world, like that group of companies, that really were pushing, kind of public cloud. McKinsey was in that, group, as well, and they were pushing that cloud message to executive management, and so. And I think they were pushing it without really kind of fully understanding, the implications. And I think also too is that the CSPs, they were encouraging corporations to have disaggregated spend, right? So that you couldn't really sum the whole thing up and really understand what are you spending, on this. And so I think I'm not saying anyone was nefarious, but I think the bottom line is that there were a lot of practices out there that just kind of equated into something that just got out of control, and and now it's like, hey, time to reel this whole thing in.
No, and in all fairness, like I would say this 100% of the time, not nefarious. It's really good business intentions. People want to deliver business value faster, right? That is one of the benefits of cloud is the agility at which you can stand up infrastructure, get stuff built, get stuff tested, and get stuff deployed. That's a great story.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get controls around it so it is effective financially as well. So yeah, makes sense.
That's really one of the best use cases around cloud is like, okay, standing up something before you actually make the big investment, in house. That's really there. The scaling up part and the agility part, the elasticity part, that holds true too. But the problem is the cost controls around that, don't map, right? So if you some of the master agreements, you're committing to consumption levels, right? And then you go up into like various tiers. The problem with some of those things too is like if all of a sudden you start to go the other way around, it's like we're not going to start to use this. then your consumption levels drop, and then you're getting penalized, and so renegotiating those contracts, is not easy. So Elastic has to go both up and down, not
Oh,
just
absolutely.
one way,
Right. All right. Any sessions that you're particularly looking forward to, or just thematically that you're interested in? Anything that's really, really excited about to see that you want to highlight?
Yeah, that's really hard. That's almost like, just saying which kid do you love the most,
Right.
you know?
And you can't ever say that and be recorded, even though we know, you know.
Well, well, I do love both my kids equally. So I think, maybe thematically is super excited for the keynotes. We have, the Cigna keynote and the Merck, and also we have Federal Reserve coming in, and they're going to be talking about their cloud journey and everything we just talked about. So I think those are really great proof points and use cases. The Really excited for how we're doing all of the working groups where everything is in the theaters. So we have 4 major theaters going on. Super excited, about those, and how we lined all of the POCs with also the theater. So we'll have a theater on network cloud, on hyper automation, on cloud security, and on controls, which is kind of the policy as code stuff. So I'm really excited for all those. Can't wait for the great debate, with the Ernest and with Charlotte being the moderator. So excited about that. The quantum computing applied to cyber, the meetup that you're doing, Mark. Super excited, about that one. The training, like a lot, hands-on training, really to kind of we want to give, both network and security teams, like we're focusing on the networking teams at this ONUG, we want to give them tools and training and know-how. And so we have 4 great workshops for them to participate in. So excited about those, as well. So
Yes. So just I'm going to point a spotlight on you. Right. There's too many to love just one. But you mentioned the great debate, which always ends up being a fascinating discussion. And I like that we're not scared. We're not scared to have a tough conversation. Right. This great debate's about can DevOps scale in a large enterprise, and not everyone's on the same page there. And it's
yeah,
interesting to observe that not everyone's on the same page there. So it'll be great. You
yeah,
mentioned the discussion we're having on quantum cryptography, its role and risk in the sort of future risk landscape. And yes, we're also sort of going to be hosting a regional meetup, an ONUG regional meetup group there. It'll be an inaugural meetup, and we're super excited about that. But I'm really excited about the topic.
yeah. I
And
think
I tend to be the gloom and doom guy, and this thing. So you got security people saying, "That's fine. This is 10 years away. Don't worry about it. Don't be so sure.
yeah. Well,
Don't
I
be
think
so sure."
that's that. I'm excited for that topic, and actually, I got to put this kind of up a notch, and that's Dr. Doug Comer coming in, and so Dr. Comer is going to talk about,
Didn't he invent math or something? What?
well, he was involved in kind of DARPANET, kind of in the early days, and
Yeah.
Doug taught like everybody, what TCP/IP was, but I think he's coming in to really do an assessment of AI, and really, can AI run your knock and your sock? Is really what he's going to basically say. It's like, so right now we have ChatGPT, right? And so, okay, it's like kind of the HAL thing. You kind of ask it questions, and it kind of gives you the questions back. The real AI stuff is like, kind of really in reverse. It's like it takes lots of streams of data, and it has a learning model, and then it can basically provide controls, right? And I think that's what everyone's really afraid of. Is will those controls be kind? But anyway, I think that's the AI that some call that wave two or synth AI. That's what Doug is going to be talking about. So I'm fascinated to hear what he has to say there as well.
Nice. Another aspect of this ONUG is going to be a celebration around the work that's been done by the Automated Cloud Governance Working Group, and where that team has taken the cloud security notification framework. And it we've taken some turns along the way, Nick, but ultimately the team has landed on a design pattern and an implementation reference architecture for this new open source solution that is been accepted by our enterprise consuming members, and they're excited about what it's done from a posture perspective, how it allows them to consume the canonical data model and to be adopted by third parties. And we're going to be showing the community what Splunk has done with CSNF and the canonical data model. And hey, I don't mind telling you, it was surprising. Splunk was not at the table initially. They thought about it and then stepped away, and now they're in full force and deploying it on Splunk base. Kind of cool. Kind of a cool story.
Yeah, it's like I think this is something the community has to be really proud of, where we really got together as a community and we delivered a solution to the market. So we aggregated all of our requirements. We really thought hard about it. We organized the working shops. We documented them, developed the canonical data model, and got everybody's agreement on it, which is huge. We open sourced that, and now we have the first commercial availability of it. So there's starter kits. There's so many different ways to start using CSNF. And our hope, or my hope really, for CSNF is that this shows, okay, great, it's you can utilize it, you can consume it, you can buy it, or you can go to Git and use it if you want to. I think in the fall, we're starting to work towards doing a big hackathon where we marry CSNF and maybe some of the AI modules that are within various different products. We're not creating any AI code or open source project, but to show various different use cases and get a lot of folks from the universities to get involved and to kind of show what they're doing, or to show what you can do with CSNF. So we still have work to do, but we're hoping that this kind of unleashes, a lot of interest on the supplier side on how they might be able to help and drive that integration of NOx and SOx, because the canonical data model, that could be expanded to include networking telemetry and networking attributes. And so we could have one canonical data model that has both kind of security telemetry and logs, and networking telemetry and logs that can be normalized, and that normalization then can be productized and transformed into various different use cases. That's a big, tall order, but it's like we're not doing it. We're basically showing the industry what can be done, and hopefully they'll step
And that was the point. We say it all the time. We're part of a connected community. It wasn't necessary for us to invent every aspect of this as much as enable a solution and a reference architecture that the rest of the world could capture and take advantage of. So I feel like that's exactly where we are. Another highlight I want to give, and I'm sort of stealing the show with working group stuff, but policy as code. Wow.
Yeah.
Right. The whole policies code initiative. And by the way, a perfect example in my mind where ONUG is acting in that connected community fashion. There's a lot of really great standards out there in the policies code space, but there's pieces missing and we talk about all the time, Nick, governance, compliance, the management side of it. Things that are missing that still result in an inordinate amount of toil for our consumers. And, ONUG's here to provide guidance for it. And so we've got a powerhouse team of participants from both the consumer side and the supplier side working together and really dusting this thing off and going, okay, what do we have? From a taxonomy's perspective, do we even have a glossary of terms? Do we have data models available and figure out, okay, we can pull this in from here, this in from here. Let's do some definitions here, and let's start building against a reference architecture that we hope by fall we'll have something that the community can execute against in a very knowledgeable fashion. And by the way, you mentioned Alex. Alex has been part of that process from the very beginning. So great team. So, all right. I don't want to steal the show on working group.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Sorry. I mean to talk over you. My apologies there, Mark. I think, one thing that just came to mind as you were talking, and that is, we hear a lot about AI lately, because of GPT-4. But I think I am so looking forward to seeing. I think AI is supposed to really be the big efficiency, engine where it kind of looks for inefficiency and it kind of eliminates it, right? And that's really what was the role of the internet, in the kind of not in the 90s. There could not be more toil than in networking and security operations, and I think system, administration they have more tools than we do in networking and security. If there is a place that AI can have a huge impact, it's got to be there, and so we should be doing everything we can to explore that, for the community and expose the community to potential, models. So anyway.
Excellent. All right. We need to wrap this up. Any final words? Any focus that you want to draw attention to before we wrap up today's podcast?
I think the only thing is come to Dallas, come hungry. I'm gonna have a great barista too, so you'll be well caffeinated and you'll be well fed. And you'll also will have a lot of great topics and discussions to feed your mind as well. So just looking forward to seeing you all.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, come again. Please come. If you haven't been to an ONUG event before, I can honestly say this. I still, although I've been with the company for a couple of years now, I still very much have that enterprise consumer hat on, and having been the benefactor of ONUG's work and ONUG's, both conferences and working groups and just all the great work they do. The ONUG experience is unique and really is special. And so we really hope that you'll be there. So, join us. Don't forget, go to onug.net. You can register for the event today. What is the promo code? ONUG Podcast to get that discount. And with that, on behalf of Nick and myself, thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next ONUG Podcast. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.